Our conversation with Indiana County Commissioner Sherene Hess is brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. And we talk with Commissioner Hess, but we talk with her on a topic that is not necessarily a county business, and that is the fact that the Pennsylvania Solar Congress is coming to Indiana County on Saturday. This is a pretty fast coming event, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is. Yes, Saturday. From 9:30 to about 4 o'clock. It's a full-day session. And this is going to be held at the Chestnut Ridge Ball facility down in Blairsville. So the Pennsylvania Solar Congress is an initiative of Solar, United Neighbors, and a bunch of different partners. And we have been fortunate to be chosen as their site for the 2020 Congress. So we're not super involved with all the planning of it, but we are a part of welcoming people to Indiana County and helping to coordinate some of the sessions, including one which I'm proud of, and that's the local government leadership in solar. And it's really talks about how local government has partnered with some grassroots organizations, some of the nonprofit folks, some of the policymakers to talk about how we advance solar and as a part of our energy portfolio, not something to replace, but as a part of how we do energy in Western PA and Pennsylvania and in our nation.
And in Indiana County, of course, that has been really helped along by Henry McKay and the folks at Solar United Neighbors, because Indiana County make tremendous strides in the past year. In fact, probably unprecedented in the state what Indiana County did last year.
That's what I'm hearing, that we, as a part of our solar cooperative, which our Indiana borough has been very forward thinking in that, we apparently have made more installations than any other county. So right now anyway. So we're proud of that and understand that it's quite a learning curve. And there are a number of sort of, I wouldn't say bureaucratic, but sort of paperwork type related things to go through and just learning about how that all works. But I've been hearing people who've done the installations say they're actually putting energy back on the grid. Yeah. And it's just a neat process, and it's saving them money. And it's a way for people to have a little bit of control over how they get their energy and so on. So it's when you feel very hopeless and helpless about the state of affairs, this is one way you can have a little bit of control over your personal things.
Of course, at this time of the year, we look up and we say, is there any solar up there?
Yes, we do. It has been pretty gloomy lately, but even then, that it still works. It's not optimal, but it still works.
You can still collect some solar energy even on cloudy days.
Yeah, and that you get into the discussion about battery storage, and that's a whole different thing, but there are ways to capture sunlight when it is here for those times when it's not.
Tell me about what's going to be actually happening at this conference coming up on Saturday, because this is something anybody can go to.
Yes, it's open to the public. It's easy to register. It's free. There's no charge, and does include lunch and refreshments. And, I mean, there are a number of sponsors. The League of Women Voters of Pennsylvania is a big sponsor. There's a number of, the Solar Congress itself is a sponsor. But 2020 is a really important year in terms of solar. There are things on the move related to community solar bills in the House and so on. And this is a little bit of a different arrangement. It allows for businesses and homeowners who aren't able to actually make an installation on their property for whatever reason to participate in a community solar type of installation so they can do their part and even see some of those benefits for their own electric bills. So those things are moving along. So that's the kind of thing that will be talked about. And then we'll get into some of the real practical things about Solar 101. And that's going to be presented by a guy named Roger Horowitz from Solar United Neighbors. And then there's going to be some talking about what's the future of solar in terms of practical applications like electric cars and those kinds of things that we maybe take for granted, transportation and housing and other things in commerce that are related to the use of energy and how we do that. And then we will have Ed Johnstonbaugh, who's from Penn State Extension, to talk about how farms and how larger landowners can use solar to optimize from those opportunities and how they can, save money, work on the carbon emissions thing, and just basically be very forward-looking in their energy use.
I'm sure that a lot of the conversation on Saturday is going to have to do with how quickly technology changes. We talk about that in medical terms when we're talking with the folks from IRMC. We talk about it in technological terms when we're talking with, say, one of the lawmakers working on broadband and those types of things. But in the solar industry, technological changes, they might not happen as lightning fast as in some of those others, but when they come, they're big difference makers, aren't they?
Well, they are. I mean, it's all about the expense related to any of these and the cost of doing any of these kinds of technologies. So if you find something that makes what seems to be an incremental reduction in the cost, it can have an exponential effect on the use and the how we apply it out in the real world. Mm-hmm. So and it can break really quickly. So battery storage is one of those things, and there are a number of other things. I don't even keep up with that technical part. I'm the policy part of it, a lot of it, and just trying to convene. That's what I think is an important part of local government. It's not to make the decisions for people, but to convene people and talk about what are the nuances, what are the pros and cons, and where do you get your best return on the investment, and so on.
Many homeowners, of course, will see these installations here in Indiana County and say, well, maybe I can get in on something like that. And obviously seeing success such as that would make people maybe want to go to this event on Saturday. But, even as you mentioned, away from actually owning a home that is able to take advantage of solar energy, we see solar energy in use all around. PennDOT. Mm-hmm. PennDOT has the flashing stop signs, the curve signs now that you're seeing around the county with solar catchers on them.
Those little photovoltaic cells. They capture it and then store it, and you see blinking lights. It's
an endless source when it gets right down to it.
It can be, it can be. It's a technology that's not without its, I don't want to say flaws, but concerns and challenges to think about, disposal of the waste products. And how it's produced in the first place. But on the whole, the proponents are pretty firm on that it is a way to give people choice, cut carbon emissions, and basically look forward. And the jobs that are associated with building solar panels and all of the attendant parts and with the maintenance and those things, they are real. Those are real jobs. They are good paying jobs. And, this is the future. And we as I say, we're not looking to replace. We're looking to be a part of the solution to, our energy. We don't have an energy plan in Pennsylvania and in the nation. And it is a big concern. But this is one small thing that individuals can do. And so that's our focus on this particular initiative.
I'm looking at the number of folks from Indiana County who will be presenters.
Yes,
and I see the name Sherene Hess in that list.
But, well, I'm welcoming people for the most part, and I am going to talk a little bit about the tradition, the heritage. I mean, Western PA is a leader in energy, and we built this country here in this part of the nation, and it's been tough times for the last 40, 50 years. And I think it's important for people to understand. This is a huge part of our story and our narrative, and we don't want it to be forgotten. We do want to move forward, but it's important to respect that and understand how we use our past to think about our future.
One of the interesting aspects that I'm sure will be a big part of this is the opportunity to go out, ask your questions of folks who are actually directly involved in the industry.
Yes.
But then there is an open forum that's coming late in the event, right? You're going to wrap it up basically when you get to the end.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they are going to talk about the very practical parts of installation of a solar array. And there are different ways to do that, and it isn't for everyone. It doesn't work on every property. So there will be those kinds of discussions, and there is going to be a couple of sessions even after this Congress here in Indiana County to join the solar cooperative. It is continuing, and the benefit of that is they're working with the vendor, so there is a economies of scale there, and they can see real cost savings. as opposed to going out and just doing it on your own. And you do have to be careful. There are, just like any business, there are good vendors and there are bad vendors.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some information that's related to those very practical kinds of things.
All right. So for folks who want to go to this event on Saturday, is there still time to register?
Yes. And you can do that by going to our website, sustainableindianacounty.org. And if you just do a Google, too, for Solar United Neighbors or Solar Congress, I'm sure it will come up. But it's real easy. It's a couple of keystrokes and you're in. So,
and you're in.
Yeah.
And you're
so
in.
It's good. We invite everybody.
Enjoy the event.
Yes. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Sherene, thanks for coming in to tell us about it.
You are welcome. Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. It's the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160, 101.1 FM. Fox News coming up next. And then it's the Brian Kilmeade Show.